I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to overcome depression and anxiety. Now, I do just want to say that I am not a health professional. All I can say is that I am another human being with experiences that I can share with you with the intention of adding value to your life. I am a certified human development coach, so I do have that credential, but more importantly, I do just want to share my experience, and I want to share with you something powerful from my own experience that I believe that you can add to your life if it resonates, to help you to overcome this thing that society calls depression and anxiety. So again, I'm not a professional here, but I do believe I can share with you a lot of things that will help you. And with that being said, let's just get right into the video. So if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Also, all the details to work with me will be down below. Now, in my experience, depression and anxiety is just stuck and stagnated energy. So believe it or not, a lot of spiritual teachers talk about like stillness is the key to remove all negativity. Look, I don't know how other people are, but for me personally, if I'm very, very still, if I'm just still and I'm stuck, the energy gets stuck. And I'm not saying that that movement can't happen where like you're kind of moving the energy, but you're still kind of still in your body. All I'm saying is that a dense, heavy, negative energy means, in my experience, that I need to move forward and I need to do something. I need to actually change something, because if I stay stuck in the negative energy, then I'm only going to get more of the negative energy. And that might sound contradictory to what a lot of people will tell you, but one of the things that I've learned powerfully from one of my mentors and also in my experience is that actually any anxiety, any depression, any kind of negative energy is actually your sign and your cue to move forward in your life. That's what it is. It's your sign to move forward. It's your sign to shift something around in your life and not allow this negative energy to define who you are. So that's very, very important, is to not allow this negative energy to define who you are as well. But really, just remember that before I move on to the next portion of this video, what you want to do is just keep in mind, and again, this is just in my experience, that negative energy, that any kind of depression or anxiety is stuck energy. It means that something has to move forward. Something has to change. You can't keep doing the same exact routine. You can't keep doing the same exact things that you're doing. Something has to change, even if it's a slight change. I'm not saying that you have to completely change your life and totally make like bold decisions that are out of alignment with who you want to be. I'm just saying that something has to shift. Something. You got to take a different action. You got to switch something around. Like something has to change, right? And then if this doesn't happen, if you decide to not move forward, and that's like, you know, that's ultimately your choice. Like I can't really make a choice for you. Then that depression and that anxiety will run your life. That's what will happen, is that depression will just run your life. And so that's the first thing that I want to actually share with you in this video. Now, also what I want to share with you, contrary to, again, what you may hear in a lot of spiritual videos and all these types of things, what I've come to realize is that actually action and movement is actually one of the biggest factors to overcome depression and negative emotions. It's action, it's movement. Now, I'm not saying that it has to be like very fast paced. Action can mean sitting in meditation. Action can even mean sitting down on the computer and watching some YouTube videos or whatever it is that you want to do. But it's not about staying stuck, and it's definitely not about complaining about the negativity and telling all the people in your life how negative you're feeling, and then talking about it, and then for me personally, trying to find the solution, trying to figure out the solution. The solution is when you start to become the solution. You become who you want to be. So for me, it's shifting into a reality where I'm moving and I'm in flow, where the depression stops becoming a part of my reality. Now, I already understand what many people might think. They might think, well, oh, you're just running away from the depression. You're just running away from the emotion, action. You know, for instance, it just sounds like you're one of these people that are just, you know, they're stuck in the external world and they're running away from negative emotions. Look, negative emotions are gonna happen in our life. No matter what, some kind of negativity will enter your field of consciousness one way or another. You cannot be 100% in alignment and in flow 100% of the time, because contrast is literally a necessary part of existence. It's a necessary part of existence. It has to exist. Without contrast, what are you? Why does alignment feel so good? Alignment feels so good, and I don't really say good because there's like a neutral flow and connectedness to the source, and it is neutral, but there's this ease and this flow when you're in alignment. But anyways, the key is to understand that I found that when I'm in flow, what's happening is that I still perceive of all the negative emotion, but I choose to not give it power. I choose to not give it power because many people, for example, have past traumas, right? Past situations where maybe they had some negative experiences, whether with somebody in their life, whether, let's just say, perhaps with family, let's just say perhaps whatever the case is, right? There's many different negative situations that people can have in their past experiences. But the thing is that eventually we gotta stop giving power to these negative emotions. And I personally found that like the concept of spirituality can become very redundant. When you're trying to seek, when you're trying to figure out the answer to the anxiety, when you're trying to find out how to remove it, it kind of like feeds it energy. And again, I know how that sounds. I'm very conscious of what that sounds like as I'm communicating it. Like, I'm not oblivious in these videos to the fact that while I'm communicating this, that there's going to be many perceptions of me where people think like, oh, you know, he's just running away or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And when I say something like spirituality is a concept created by humans to run away from their natural divinity of being a creator, I can see that I can also feel that many people's spiritual ego is going to kick in, right? And think like, oh, like whatever. I don't know what it is exactly, but there's going to be some kind of resistance to that. I can already sense that from like a mile away. I completely understand. But the thing is that I've been in this sort of, I believe to be a spiritual ego trap, where I'm running and I'm trying to find the answers and I'm trying to overcome the negativity in my life. And I'll be honest with you, it was a useful exploration. I'm not saying that it didn't have a purpose. I'm not saying that it was bad for me to go through that. But I'm at a point in my journey where I truly believe that if you really want to become the most spiritually aligned person that you want to be, if you really want to become the best human being that you can be, a valuable member of society where you can support yourself, you can become self-sustaining, you can support yourself, and you can also support others like your family, your loved ones, people that want help from you, right? All these different things. If you truly want to become a valuable member of society, it's important to, yes, use these spiritual concepts, but at some point, drop the idea of spirituality and then embody what spirituality is truly about. You want to embody it fully, right? Because look, what is really the point of spirituality? Let's just take a step back here. The point is to make your life better, isn't it? Isn't that the point of spirituality? Is to improve your life, to bring you more peace? So if there's some kind of concepts and ideas about spirituality that are not making you feel better and more peace in your life, isn't that going against what the whole point of spirituality is for? Like, the reason why somebody would go out to seek spiritual teachings is to feel more peace, right? Isn't that the case? But if you're so in peace, if you're so in flow, and you're so connected to, you could say, your higher self, that spiritual teachings stop resonating for you and stop making you feel aligned, wouldn't the most spiritually and the most spiritually aligned decision to make and the most wise path to take in your life, wouldn't that be to stop focusing on spirituality and then simply be the person that you want to be? Now, I'm not saying that if you have a true desire to embody, perhaps, let's just say, a spiritual teacher, right, to be a spiritual teacher, or to look at spiritual teachings and then bring you more peace, then of course go in that direction. But for me personally, this idea of chasing spirituality stopped serving me. Now you might be thinking like, okay, why are you even talking about this? What does this have to do with depression and anxiety? Well, of course, most of these videos are me talking to my past self. So I'm just sharing with you things that I've learned along my journey, and then, with the intention of helping you, perhaps, if that's going to be supportive for you. It's not up to me. I can't control your decisions. All I can do is share my experiences with the intention of adding value. But if it doesn't add value to your life, then that's not up to me, right? But what I will say though is that action and movement is a huge factor to overcome depression for me personally. Now again, action and movement doesn't mean you have to be fast-paced. It doesn't mean you have to be in this very fast-paced mentality where you're always moving. Sometimes I move really, really fast. Sometimes I move really, really fast-paced and I'm doing a lot and I'm moving fast. The energy is really speeding up. Other times I do slow down. Right? Sometimes I'm a little bit slower, sometimes a little bit faster. But within that, there's this kind of flow. In the flow state, I can be faster and I can be slower. But I try my best in my life on a consistent basis to be in the flow state, to be in connection with my source. And I find that that is the space where we want to reside in most of the times. And then that depression stops having power over you. Now, is there going to be times where you might experience resistance? Of course. Of course, there's going to be times where you feel dense, where you feel resistance, where things come up in your journey. Of course, to say that you're going to be 100% in alignment 24/7, look, let's be honest, that's not going to be the case for anybody. I don't believe that's possible. And if it is, what would be the fun in that? The whole reason why you feel joy and peace is in contrast to feeling, if you want to use this term, depressed or anxious or dense. And so what I want to conclude this video with is actually that density or negative energy is simply your cue and your reminder to step back into alignment and move forward, shift your attention, put your focus on something else. Because think about it, we're going to have challenges, we're going to have negative situations come up in our life, but are you going to allow those negative situations to define who you are? Think about how many challenges people have gone through in life. There's so many trials and tribulations that people have gone through, maybe like some sort of health issue, maybe some sort of negative energy, or maybe some sort of trauma, and they got through it. How do you think that happened? How do you think that somebody got through that kind of situation? They decided that, you know what, I'm gonna see this situation, I'm gonna see this negativity, but I'm gonna use this as a reason to move forward. They started to create their own meaning. They started to use it as a reason to move forward. See, there could be many challenges that somebody has, and then that one person can use that challenge to make them go deeper into a downward spiral, into some sort of negative energy, right? It's like negative energies, they're happening. First of all, when they receive a negative energy, they might be telling themselves, this is happening to me, why is this happening? Whatever it is, right? It might be another person that has that same experience, yet they say, you know what, I'm gonna use this energy and direct it in a particular direction. That's what you can call energy transmutation. And so I understand, once again, there's going to be many rebuttals, and it's like, it sounds like you're running away from something. But look, let me ask you this. If you're going through some really negative situation or negative energy in your life, let me ask you this. What is the alternative? What's the alternative? To not take this advice? To not go towards what you want? To complain? To judge? To point your fingers out there in terms of why the external world is the reason why you're going through all these things? Is that what it's going to be? Because look, like that's not going to help you move forward. And I believe that if we're alive, I believe that if we are still conscious, if we're still aware, then that means that there's always something to do. Yes, to do. And I understand that in the spiritual community, this concept of doing can be very triggering. It's like, well, I don't want to do. Do whatever you want. I cannot make it a decision for you. And I'm not here to criticize or to judge or to convince you really of anything. I cannot make a choice for you. I can only make my choices, and I can share with you from my experience what my choices have led me to. But I truly believe that density is our cue to move forward. That's at least personally how I've put it upon myself, to be programmed, to program myself, to program my mind, to say, you know what? If I'm feeling negative energy, this is my cue to move forward. This is my cue to focus on something that I believe is going to help me get closer to who I want to be, to who I prefer to be. I'm going to see that negative energy. I'm going to notice it. I'm going to be aware of it. I'm going to be conscious of it. I'm going to be I'm going to feel it. Like, there's no running away from any feelings, right? Some people think like, oh, he's running away from his feelings. Look, I feel every negative emotion in my body. The only difference is that I'm not going to be allowing that to define who I am. Who I am will not be defined by a negative emotion. It's just not going to, I'm not going to allow it. I'm not going to allow some sort of past trauma or negative emotion. I'm not even going to see it as a trauma. I'm going to redefine it in my mind. I'm going to redefine it and say, no, this is just energy to move forward towards who I want to be. I'm going to redefine every negative energy and reprogram myself and snap myself out of the unconscious haze that unfortunately a lot of people can fall into, right? I'm not going to be allowing some unconscious haze to define my life. I'm just not going to allow it. Not for somebody else, but for me. I have nothing to prove to anybody else. I'm not doing it for anybody else. You can't do it for somebody else. You have to do it for yourself. If you're going to try to overcome your depression and anxiety for somebody else, look, I'm not going to say anything other than I really believe that we need to be doing it for ourselves first and foremost, so that you can be the person that you want to be. Because that's how you're going to uplift somebody, right? When you're a shining light and you're showing people that you're embodying that new version of yourself, that's when people are going to think like, wow, what is he doing? How is he doing that? Or maybe they're already in zone flow and they already know how to create the reality, and they'll just see that and then just embody it because they realize that they have just as much power to embody what that person is embodying as well. They just see that. That's how you can see life in that way, where you stop being jealous, you stop feeling lack, and if you do feel lack, you take a step back and you're aware of it. You say, you know what, I feel this lack, I feel this triggering, you can call it a trigger or whatever, a lack-based emotion, and you say, you know what, I'm gonna once again use this as a cue and a reminder, to move back into who I prefer to be, right? Again, so you can this is gonna help you to build more confidence in your life. This is gonna help you to feel better in your life. This is gonna help you to reverse the fear. You can say, you know what, I'm conscious that I'm in fear right now, but instead of following this sort of automatic conditioning and reacting more and more and more to this fear, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to say that this is a reason to go back into myself, into who I really am, who you really are, to use it as a reason to go back into who you are. And again, if there's any resistance to this, I would ask you, what is the alternative? To let the fear control you? To let the fear define who you are? Because that's really ultimately the way that I see reality is there's only two choices. There's only two choices. Either the fear is gonna take you over and you're gonna forget that it doesn't have to define you, or you say, you know what? This fear doesn't define who I am, and you reverse it. Of course, there's more nuances to life. I'm not just saying it's that simple. It's not just that simple. But I'm talking in the bigger picture here. That's kind of the two general directions you can take in your life, is to allow the fear to define you, or to see that it does not have to define who you are. And then if you start to embody this, you will start to build more confidence, and you'll build momentum, and you'll start to go in the opposite direction of the fear. And that's when your life is gonna get so good, so to speak, or I guess you could say in flow. It's a better way to say it, because the reason I say good in that way is because I feel like good and bad are two sides to the same coin that can both create suffering. I like to live my life as unconditional presence and awareness. I don't really allow like the highs or the lows to sway me, if that makes any sense. But I will say though, that you will not be controlled by the fear. That's for certain. If you decided upon yourself, and again, I can't make this choice for you, to simply use the fear, use the depression or anxiety or dense energy or whatever label you want to put on it. You could call it resistance, you could call it whatever, right? It's just whatever word you want to use. I believe that, there's many different words to point to you feeling really out of alignment. You can use that again to go back into who you really are and get more into flow, okay? And so I sincerely hope that this was valuable for you and this helped you in some way. And with that, I conclude this video. Once again, all the details to work with me will be down below. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.